Welcome to Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki, where inspiration meets action. This is your spot to grow, level up, and lead with fresh ideas. From sales to service, from frontline teams to executives, we're dropping weekly knowledge and insight to keep your store sharp, relevant, and profitable. Let's get into it. A long time ago, I was at the automotive's biggest show, NADA show. And it was, I believe it was in Las Vegas this year. And this is where I met Ujj. He is a co-founder, the CEO. He's the chairman of MyKaarma. And I will tell you, there was something that really struck me and stood out. And I've never forgotten him. And I've never forgotten the people that I met this day and some of the important lessons they taught me on tech. And one of the things that really stood out was just how he wanted to just be a part of the dealership's day-to-day. He wanted to be in the trenches. And it's not just Ujj, who is a co-founder and CEO, but it was other people on his team. His CTO in particular really stood out for me. Being at the show, we don't usually see tech guys, the developers on site, but it was just a testament to wanting to build a product that truly worked for dealers. I got to welcome this guy. He's here today. Finally got him on the show. Ujj Nath. Woo! Welcome.
Hey, thank you, Jen. Now I'm blushing. I don't know how you blush with my,
with your skin tone.
Yeah, with my skin tone. I don't want to go there, but you got
don't you worry. I will.
Okay. Yeah. But hey, so appropriate, so appropriate. So I'll tell you, I need to pay homage first to Toyota Motor Corporation, and I'll tell you why. In a nutshell, I was building a system for them for distributing new vehicles to their zones. And this was in my last company where we were a technology consulting company. And boy, did I get humbled. And then I learned a term that basically changed my life, which was that A, you've got to always look at every problem from your customer's view and work backwards. And B, you got to go to the place and see for yourself. And they call that Genchi, Genbutsu. How did I start the company? Well, I was doing technology consulting. My old firm had been bought by Snap-on. After 4 years, I decided big companies were really not cut out for me, or I was not cut out for a big company. So I started my consulting practice again with two other fellas who were ex-employees of mine in my last company, but we all became partners and said, oh, let's start consulting. Is more fun to go solve problems. Well, I used to own a Honda Civic Hybrid, and I took it in for service, and oh boy, did I get a shock. Well, everything that could go wrong in service went wrong. I showed up at 7 a.m. in the morning just to get in, beat the rush. Guess what? So I found this out.
What are you talking about, beat the rush at 7 a.m.? That is the rush.
So that's the problem, right? See, guess what the old school service managers teach all the service advisors to say? They say, sir, get in early so you can beat the rush. Guess what happened? Everybody shows up at 7. So it was a long line, and this was Reeves Honda Cerritos.
Oh, yeah. Big store.
And there were 3 lanes and people packed. Anyways, I get my car checked in. Luckily, my office was around the corner on Studebaker Boulevard, and I walked down, was doing my work, and it was an oil change. And here we were, like at noon. I'm like, gosh, why haven't they contacted me? So I call into the dealership. I Google them, find the number, call into the dealership, and this is what I hear. Thank you for calling Reeves Honda Cerritos.
Press
1 for sales, press 2 for used car, 3 for, whatever, finance, 4 for service, 5 for body shop. Anyways, I pressed 3 for service, and it rang. And then somebody picked up. And the guy was real chirpy, and I was a little upset by that. It'd been a minute and a half. And the guy's like, Reeves Honda, how may I help you? I said, hey, where the heck is my car? The guy's like, huh? Car? So, sir, so can you spell your name? God forbid you got to spell my name. It's been spelled every way but the way it's spelled. And so I spelled it, and the guy's like, what? UGG? UGE? I said, no.
UJJ.
Yeah, but can you just tell me where my car is at? He said, okay, sir, let's try it a different way. What kind of car do you have? I said, Honda Civic Hybrid, silver, 2015, or whatever, I forget which year, 2010. And this was actually in I want to say 2010. So it must have been 2005 or something. Guy says, okay, one second. So, oh, sir, I found you. And I said, okay, great. 3.5 minutes later, right? And he says, oh, Martha. Sorry, Martha's out to lunch. She'll call you back. So
That's your advisor?
Yeah, that's my advisor. So she's trying. All I'm trying to do is find out what the status of my car is, which is supposed to be 1 hour, and it's 5 hours later. I don't have the car. Anyways, long story short, she did call, but it was an unknown number to me, so I let it go into voicemail. And at 4:30, I said, "Hell with this! I'm getting my car. One way or the other, I gotta go home. It's Friday." So I take Doug, who still works for us, and true story, you can talk about anything. I said, Doug, don't you dare leave. Stay outside. I don't know if I'm getting my car today. I walk in, and of course, Martha, the service advisor, is gone. I go to the cashier, and she's all chirpy. She says, "Oh, Mr. Nath, your car's done." I said, "Oh, wow, it's done. How come nobody called me?" She said, "Oh, I can't tell you that." And she pulled up my invoice. I'd given her a $25 coupon. It was not on the invoice. And so I was like, "Oh my God, so can you do this?" She said, "Yes, I can." Service manager to the cashier, please. Service manager to the cashier, please. And the service manager shows up, and she looks at me and she says, "What's the problem, sir?" And I said, "Hey, this. Oh, okay, let me fix it." She goes into the DMS and she's punching away on the keyboard, and I'm just saying, "Okay, now, anytime now." And finally, it gets done, and it's 20 minutes later, and I pay, and I walk out, and Doug is losing his bit because he's trying to get home and
waited for you.
Yeah, he waited for me outside, and so I come in and I say, "Doug, I'm good, man. I got my car." And I'm driving home, and the light bulbs are going off in my head, and I'm calling my business partner, who's now obviously he's the co-founder. I said, "Dude, we found it.
We found it.
Always wanted to be a product company. This is it. We gotta solve this problem."
Oh, I
and
like it.
So the very next day, I was pretty well known for new car distribution. So we were doing an engagement for Volkswagen. So the only dealer I knew, literally, we used to only do work for OEMs, was Volkswagen Pasadena. And was Steve Rogers, ex-Navy SEAL. So we go to him, and little did I went to him really tentatively. I said, I subscribe to this philosophy called Genchi Genbutsu. Gaurav and I want to become service advisors for the next foreseeable future, a year, maybe 16 months. I don't know how long it's going to take. Actually, it took us 14 months. And I thought he was going to throw us out of his office. He said, "Yeah, when can you start?" I think it's a great idea. Navy SEALs are basically designed for risk.
Of course.
Then everything is a fun project. So he was like, "Okay, let's get started tomorrow. The only thing is you cannot be a service advisor. I don't have insurance that covers you, but you can hang around my dealership as much as you want." So literally every day we used to show up. We used to hang around with the service advisors. I've actually done the job of service advisor. I've written tickets. I know how it works. So we learned the business, and while we were learning the business, Gaurav was writing code, and so we came out with the first two products, which for some unknown reason, I think this will tie into my next thought, which is it was super successful. We said, why should we only use phone calls for trying to figure out status? So we introduced text, and not only did we introduce text, we introduced texting and phone calling on the same number. A 10-digit number. Prior to that, everybody used to use those 5 digits that he couldn't reply to.
Yeah, this is the moment right here. This is where everything gets shaped right here.
Right
it's
here.
all based on these multiple phone numbers that come out of multiple departments in the dealership, and you really just want it to be one phone number that represents. It's no confusion.
There's no confusion. And when you come in, we text you automatically with a V card, or like a contact card, and you save it. From that point onwards, when we call you, it flashes Volkswagen Pasadena.
Right.
Puts it in a spam. Text you, it flashes Volkswagen Pasadena. And your whole life history is in that thread. You went in, if you pay, we also invented mobile payments for automotive, right?
Right.
So when you pay on your and that was my beef. I said, why do I have to stand in line?
I know. It's all
this
making sense.
Send me the freaking, and this is exactly what I told Gaurav. I said, Gaurav, these guys must be out of their minds. I can deposit my check by taking a picture on my phone. I can't pay my freaking invoice on the phone. and Gaurav was like,
mobile checkout has arrived.
And he's like, I'm yin, he's yang, or I'm yang, he's yin. So he was like very calm, level-headed. He says, You make a good point, Ujj. Let's see what we can do with it. And he wrote the code on his way to Volkswagen on a plane. Comes back the next week after the consulting gig, and on Friday shows it to me. We used to go Monday and come back Thursday. So Friday we used to huddle in our office. He said, "What do you think?" I said, "Oh man, looks marvelous." And then we go to Steve, and Steve Rogers looks and says, "Oh my God, we got to do this again." High risk propensity, very lucky. I'm telling you, you need a lot of luck to be successful. He was like, "Always, let's go, boy, let's go. This is great." We put it in. Do you know what happens? I mean, I
What?
won't bore you with the details. It's super successful. One day, Steve calls me all bubbly. He says, "Ujj, I didn't know this thing was going to happen, man. You guys are wizards." I said, "Really? What happened?" He says, "This girl goes to Pasadena City College. Her mom's the American Airlines, like a, I don't know what you call them, stewardess. And
Hmm.
she lands in London on a overseas flight. This girl wants to get a car and she doesn't have money, and mom pays for the service. In the old days, you know what we'd do? We'd fax a form to Kinko's in a Kinko-like place in London. She'd go there in the middle of the night. It's 5 o'clock here. It's 2 a.m. in the morning in London. She'd pick it up. She'd write out her credit card number, sign it, go back and fax it back, and that was a credit card authorization. Well, the daughter just forwarded the email to her. She tapped on it, paid, and she put a glowing review on Google and called Steve the next day when she was back in town, saying, "You were a lifesaver. It was cold. I was snuggled up in my bed. All I did was pay on my phone. You guys are amazing. You're rocket scientists." And Steve thought we were rocket scientists. I said, I didn't even think about this use case. I just
This
wanted
is
people to
so
pay,
interesting.
right?
I,
And do you know how much we do in payments today?
I
Figure
tell us.
11 billion.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yes.
11 billion. You guys are processing $11 billion through
Yes.
dealerships payment. Okay. Well, I want to just ask you something. Okay, you and your buddies identified a problem and you can't wait to solve something. You want to build a product, but you already have a successful consulting firm. You already are running and you guys are now hybriding and toggling
Yeah,
both of
yeah.
these. At
We
what
were.
point do you say we need to invest all of our time and effort into this thing and get rid of that? And it must have been painful for you to have to put something else that you had loved and been, had been building and had success with, and it was your thing, and then you just had
It
to
was my
shelf it.
thing, and I'm still well known for it. But here's what happened. The beauty
Okay.
was, because that thing was a new math model that I'd introduced for Honda originally, then Toyota used it, and then we did it for Nissan, then we did it for Volkswagen. So Volkswagen was the last client we were doing it for. Our job was pretty simple. You know what allocation is, right? When you allocate
Hmm.
vehicles to a dealer.
Hmm.
So the wholesaling of cars used to happen, let's make this up, like 25th of the month. And by the 30th, the order had to be completed in 4 or 5 days. So on the 25th, we would get data from VW. We'd run our math algorithm and we'd say, these cars go to these dealers and suggest this. And we also innovated there. We came up with this concept called a suggested order. As part of that, people would order one car at a time. And when I did the Honda work, I actually hung out at the same store, Norm
Hmm.
Reeves, Honda Cerritos, and I realized that these guys were ordering one car at a time. Those guys sold like, I don't know, 600 cars a month. Imagine
Yeah.
600 cars. So what we came up with is we just do a suggested order. And when we do a suggested order, we found that breakage, which is the breakage basically goes down. Breakage means turn downs. Like you don't
Hmm.
want 30% of the car. It went from 30% turn downs to like 2% because we made the process so simple. So that taught me a very important lesson that, hey, if you make it easy, people will use your system. So, we were doing this only 3 days a month, and
I see.
we were getting paid enough money to where we were using that as bootstrap money for running
I
the
see.
product. And then, believe it or not, every year they threaten us. We want to do an RFP. We want to get 2, 3 other companies to bid on this. It's not fair. You're the only company. You must be gouging us. I say, hey, go for it, because I really didn't care. And they would do it, and in the end, every company would say, "Man, this math algorithm, I have no idea what it does." So they back out and they single source it back to us. In 2019, I know this is going to go on record, so I don't want to go on record, but very gracefully, I would say, we said, IT, VW, VWIT, here's the keys to the kingdom, you can run it. We gave them all our IP and said, you run, because our service business had become like 30, 40 times the size of this consulting business.
I see.
So
I see.
we very nicely shook hands and said, sure, you can have the baby back.
Wow. That's very interesting because, many people run across these circumstances in their lives, and there's pushes and there's pulls, to elevate or try something new and take a risk. And not everybody has it in them to take big risk. That's why I'm kind of curious to see how you went from, one particular role into doing something quite different in the same world, but quite different. And then being able to submerge yourself into that dealership for over a year, every day showing up there to really figure out how everything works. This is the core of a product that really is groundbreaking. I don't even know how else to say it. And it's not just that, it's the people in your organization too that are constantly in the stores, always looking to see what is exactly going on here. Look, most people build products sight unseen. They're not in the dealership. A lot of the people that build the products, they never even worked in a dealership. And so you waste a lot of time and money trying to solve problems unless you're there. And it was a big takeaway for me. I just bring this up here because I think in general, all of us encounter things that, we want to move forward, but it's such a risk and it's scary and it can recess your growth and what your potential is out there. And anyways, you somehow, and not even alone, went out there on a limb with two of your friends and really got into solving the dealerships, some of their biggest problems out there. And you make it sound so friggin' easy, and I know it's not. Okay.
No,
but maybe you could talk to us about some of the early challenges that you're having with the software, even reflecting on current challenges if you want to. But it's not all like, sunshine and rainbows out there. Okay.
No.
You do run into problems building software, and I know that you did. So walk us through some of this stuff, and then walk us through like how you solve this.
So I'll tell you a couple of things you need to do. Like, starting companies is not for the faint of heart. And everybody knows that, right? And the adversity that comes with it, I run marathons, right? So what is the first rule of running marathons? Pacing yourself. You don't go out too fast. You don't go too slow. You need to know what pace you can sustain, so that when you're on mile 22, you can do the breakout run, right? So you can improve your. But
Makes
if
sense.
you don't
Yes.
know, if you don't know pacing, see, here's another fact. People who lead on the 5 mile mark have never won the marathon in history. The closest they've come to is second, because you can always. So I find a lot of entrepreneurs get into it with these rose-colored glasses, right? Thinking, oh my God, it's all milk and honey. And the first signs of success they do, and of course, I got a lot of gray hair. Yeah, they think that it's going to go straight line up.
Yeah.
And it never does, right?
No.
So, Steve Rogers, this guy, he now works for me. And you know why he works for me? Because he's a Navy SEAL. So the thing about him, hard work for him was normal. He used to live in Temecula, and his dealership was in Pasadena. And he'd do the commute every day for 6 days a week. So he was an inspiration for me. Like, if you can spend 4 hours in a car and still have a smile on your face and feel like, what's the big deal?
You could do anything. And then go get beat up at work by customers.
And he's got this attitude where, some of the stories he tells me when he was a SEAL before the SEALs, it's called underwater demolition, UDT. So some of the things he would tell me, I just wondered, okay, no wonder you can do this 4-hour commute every day and have a smile on your face. But it was the best. You know why? Because he used to leave at 6 a.m. in the morning from his house. At 6 a.m., 6:10, I'd call him. I said, Steve, in your car? He says, always. And then I would start peppering him with questions, because he taught me the business. I would say, hey, Steve, what's a rap report? He said, so you saw that on the CDK screen, did you? Let me explain what. And then, I'd ask him, I'd constantly ask him, and he'd constantly teach me. And, so one day he told me I'm retiring. I said, what are you going to do, Steve? You're not the kind that retires. He says, my owner, he wants to go a different way. And I think this commute's a long commute. I don't know what I'll do. I say, hey, do you want to work for us? He says, oh, I was hoping you'd say that. 'Cause I love seeing the success you're having. So he joined us. He still works for us.
Mm.
And this is now, I'm talking 2012 or 13 is when he left. So 12 years later, he's still working with us. You're only as good as your people. I'm telling you, my market
Agreed.
cap goes to zero at 8 p.m. every night.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because everybody goes home. It's your people that make you successful. So, these principles that I learned from Toyota, and I owe a lot to those guys, like working backwards, taking the customer viewpoint, doing Genchi Genbutsu, tracing the customer journey through the dealership and finding all the waste and removing it. These are all Toyota principles. So I have trained about 80 dealers personally. I also made it a rule for Gaurav and I, just so we were, and Bill, our third partner, that we were only going to get paid 20 grand a year. Even
Damn.
though a consulting firm was making a lot of money and we could afford
Yeah.
it. I said, unless you create that, if I don't try, I will die.
Love it.
And so everybody realized we had to get to a point where we could pay ourselves more money out of this product. And I kid you not, my partner, I'd sold a company before, so I was already well off. He had not. He was an employee of mine, and he became my partner. I still remember giving him a loan for his vacation, which he paid me back, obviously, when we became better. And obviously, if you look back now, he lives in Irvine, he's got a huge house and whatnot. So, but this doesn't come because it was easy. I'll tell you, and DMS remains unnamed because I don't want to cast aspersions. But they basically told us, hey, until you're 200 dealers, you can't integrate with us. I said, how am I going to get to 200 dealers if you don't let me integrate with you? There's a chicken and egg problem.
This is so real.
I say, the guy told me, he said, sorry, not my problem, your problem.
Mm.
I said, okay, if you make it my problem, I'll solve it. We solved it. We hacked their system. And there used to be times on a Saturday morning where their security group would delete all the accounts in the dealership to just get us out of the dealership. And thank God when they did it, the owner was Italian. Italians are really hot-headed. He says, he used some choice words, and he says, Ujj, I want to teach him a lesson. Do you have a countermeasure? I said, we do. We have a Navy SEAL who wakes up at 4 a.m. in the morning and recreates accounts by hand. He turns it over to me at 6. I recreate some of the accounts by hand. I turn it over to Gaurav. Gaurav turns it over to Don. And then luckily, Don, who was our programmer, was like, hey, this is kind of stupid. One day I just write a routine that will recreate all the users in 5 minutes. So then he wrote another routine, and then Steve would hit a button, and in 5 minutes, the dealership would be back up and live. Now that continued, and I knew, I'm telling you, if you're in the throes, you're stressing out big time.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, you're like, what other trick are these guys going to throw at you? But guess what? The people who persevere, they win eventually. So I still remember when we were 45, 50 dealers, Mercedes decided to back us for payments and communications. And literally 6 or 8 weeks before they were launching their digital service drive initiative, they had picked CDK and SendBoss, these two players, and they replaced us with them. And I've always been very honest all my life. So I told the VP, and bless his heart, Frank said, don't worry, I got it. I said, we're a hostile. You need to know we're a hostile. So these dealers, they're on our system because we do hostile integration. Do you understand what hostile integration? He said, Ujj, I got it. Don't worry. I said, okay, fine. And then, of course, we launch. And he said, hey, you got time? We got to get on a phone call with this DMS. I said, okay. Get on a phone call with the DMS. He tells them, hey, I think you need to give my partner, who we've decided back, this vendor of ours, you've got to go ahead and give them official integration. And they started hemming and hawing and saying 200 dealers and all this other nonsense. He said, okay, that's fine. I'm going to cut off your warranty feed. I'm going to cut off your parts feed. And you need to tell all your Mercedes dealers that they're not going to get it from tomorrow onwards. And the guy was like, oh, why are you going to do that? We were approved the next day in the morning.
Wow.
So again, I'm telling you, you will only find the $100 bills next to the road if you keep walking down the road. If you stay stationary, those metaphorical opportunities of money will not appear. You got to be there. You got to pace yourself, and you got to think that there's a greater thing that's going to happen, and somebody's going to look out for you. And we've had multiple instances of this, multiple. I cannot tell you how many. And we've consistently powered through it. And every time it happens, now it's become to the point where I have to watch myself to not get cocky and say, tell Mike, we're a little bigger now. We're about 215 people. And, the guys they'll come to you with a gloom and doom scenario. And I feel like I'm Shakespeare and I say, it too shall pass. And,
And it does.
those guys are like, Ujj, you're just being Ujj. I said, no, I'm not being Ujj. This is all the gray hair. I'm telling you, it'll pass. Just keep at it.
Right.
Just keep pushing, and
One
you will
step
get there.
forward.
One step. And Steve told me the story. To be a Navy SEAL, you have to run 100 miles in the forest with one switchblade and some other little stuff. And there's a pack which weighs like 20 pounds or something.
Yeah.
And when you ask the drill sergeant, how do you run 100 miles? You know what his answer is? 1 foot at a time, one step at a time.
Right.
That really is the mantra. You have to remember that people overcomplicate it. Right?
I say it all the time.
Yeah, I was at USC speaking to a group of students. It wasn't like official. And the group of students, this is like, pre-recruiting. They have people, they have CEOs of companies come. And there was a venture capital company. And these guys all wanted to know what it took to start a company. And I have a soft corner for guys like that because I've done it, right? So
of course,
I'm listening to this guy and he's like, it's 1 in 20 and, 19 fail and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, come on, man. These guys have got it hard enough they want to start a company. And then you're giving all these like odds, like how the guys won't even do anything. So
right.
It comes my turn and I turn around and say, hey, don't worry, it's 50%. 50% of the people succeed when they start companies. Because the VC was like giving me the evil eye and like, what the heck is this guy talking about? I said, see, there's a theory where whenever you have a really good breakthrough idea, there are 6 people in the world who get it at that same instant in time. 2 people actually act on it and 1 person succeeds. So 1 out of 2 is 50%.
Yeah.
You have to act on your convictions.
That's
you can't worry about what the heck happens. If you worry about that, you're never going to do it.
There's so many factors. There's so many factors that can break you down, that can deter you from the prize, but it's one step forward. And I really, I think these are life lessons for everybody. Really, it's for everybody that's doing business, because there's always a setback, and it doesn't matter what the data says. It doesn't matter what, the odds are. If you want it, you focus on it and you fight for it, and you don't let that somebody beat you down and you stay down. You got to get back up. That's my advice. Get back up.
Get back up. But one thing you got to do, and again, this is a Toyota sort of methodology. It comes from judo. It's called Hansai. Hansai means relentless introspection. So in our company, we promote a concept called active dissent. So you come to our meetings and it'll sound like we're in a fish bazaar. Everybody's arguing with everybody. But when we walk out, it's like, okay, debate, discuss, decide, and then you move forward.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can do all of that. Once we agree, then there are no meetings after the meeting. So it's okay. People just worry about, some people will do all this in their head and they'll kill themselves. Yeah. They won't move forward.
No, you can't be scared. You have to confront the fear.
You have to confront the fear, and you have to know that, hey, okay, let's say I go bust. What then? Oh, I'll pick myself up and try something different.
Listen, most people in sales that are working in a dealership that are listening today, we all know how to make money. If you want to make money, it's all right there. That's why you're in the car business, because you can come in every day and write your paycheck. It's true. Yes. I mean, I've done it for my entire life, and the truth is if you are confident in your abilities to make money, you're never going to be broke. So why not take the risk and see what happens?
Yeah. And the best motivation, and I'm telling you, it might seem like it's a negative thought. No, it isn't. It's
Okay.
failure.
Yeah. I say it all the time.
Yeah, if
You're
you
one step closer to success.
yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're worried about failure, you will succeed. But if
Yeah.
you start drinking your own Kool-Aid, oh my God, that's the
Mm,
worst thing you can do. Where you start believing that yesterday, I think Andy Jassy, the guy who's Amazon CEO, he said,
hmm
he says, beware. Either he said it or Reed Hastings from Netflix, one of these CEO, Muckety
hmm
Muck said it, that, the biggest enemy to success is yesterday's success.
mm, mm, mm. We
You
can relate.
cannot rest your laurels on what you did yesterday. We have a mantra which says, innovate or die. And it's on the walls of our offices. In fact, I'm late for a walkthrough to a new office. And I said, I don't care how you guys set up, but that wall is reserved for innovate or die. So when we walk in, you got to see that sign and you got to say, oh my God, yeah, I got to innovate today.
I love your mindset. I really enjoy hearing your path to success, and you're just getting started.
Yeah, no, I
You
say that
guys.
to everybody, even though I got gray hair and everything. Yeah, I say, you ain't seen nothing yet.
I agree. I agree. And
And
I'm an
we're
outsider.
standing on the cusp of a huge transformation right now with AI.
That's it.
It is going to change the world
Yes,
one
it's
more time.
already.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's changed it partially. I think that the full impact of it is yet to be seen.
Oh,
And
it's just been born.
yeah,
It's still got a long ways to go, but we can see the vision. We can see the potential, and it's earth-shattering. You got to tell me this. I love to hear that you said this because, I do believe that anybody that's an innovator, they always see what's ahead. And not just that, but you see the potential, and there's going to be naysayers in AI. There's many naysayers. There's many, many. Listen, dealers today, what percentage do you think are actually adopting some AI in their dealership? It's probably less than 10%. And so the people that are already getting involved in it, some of these people throw in the towel, because it's not working the way that they want it to work. But now that you've started integrating AI into your software, and you can tell our audience that's listening some of the specifics, but I've seen some voice assistants and even just workflows modifying because of it. But you could tell me what should we know? What's the vision here? What's the potential? Get us pumped, bring us in, because there's a
okay.
lot of people
So
out there that
so
just simply haven't adopted yet.
so
Sorry.
I always like to watch what's happening, right?
Mhm.
Because you're only as smart as how much you read or you watch or you listen. I spend every minute of my spare time educating myself. I feel like education is this lifelong journey that you should never stop. So I'll tell you a true story. I was in Hawaii in 2023.
Okay.
I love Szechuan food. That's a type of cuisine from China. And there was a restaurant called Chengdu Taste. So me and my wife were going for a walk in the morning, and I said, it'd be nice to go there. Let me see if I can reserve a table, open table and whatnot.
Mhm.
So I see reserve a table. I press the button, and he says, "Hey, do you have any leeway? Like, can it be 7:30? Can it be 6:30? I wanted 7 p.m. Right?" I said, "Yeah, sure. 1 hour is good on either end." And so I hit save, and I get a text message from Google. It says, "We'll let you know the restaurant is not open yet." I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." But I connected the dots because Sundar Pichai, 2 years prior to that, at Google I/O, had shown this AI bot that called on behalf of him and made an appointment with a hair salon. And that thing was so real because the lady says, "Oh, I don't have 9 a.m. available. Would 9:30 work?" And the bot says, let me think about that. And it does, let me think about it. I was like, wow, this is imitating a human. I don't know if I like that, but still, it was kind of intriguing. So I figured that there's some of that technology is working because it's 2 years later.
Mhm.
Then at 11 o'clock, I get a text message saying, "We've contacted the restaurant. Your appointment's set for 7 p.m." So I go, we have dinner. I am walking out and I said, wait, I should ask this lady at the counter how this worked. So I said, hey, thank you for making the appointment. And of course, English was a second language. She said to me, and I could understand that. She said, oh, yeah, you're so nice. You called me. And I got this appointment. And then she takes out this ragtag piece of paper with my name spelled wrong and 7 p.m. on it. So essentially, what Google had done is placed a call at 11 o'clock, talked to a human, and told them they wanted an appointment with 2 people and set the appointment up.
Mm.
So that got me thinking, and I have this LinkedIn sort of post, if you will. I called it collaborative AI, and I said, imagine I'm going to New York and I'm meeting with BMW. So I fly into New York. I like to stay at the Park Ridge Marriott, but my backup is a Hilton. And I say a bunch of stuff, which today is called a prompt.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then these AI systems will go out and negotiate for you. And they'll keep texting you back saying, hey, Park Ridge is sold out. The local Hilton is 8 miles away. Are you okay? And the rate is, I say, yes. Then they make that reservation. Then they make a reservation in Manhattan for the next day so I can go see BMW Manhattan. I have dinner with somebody. All that's happening, which right now takes me 4 or 5 hours. But I say all of this and AI takes over. Well, guess what? You know what the name for that is today? Agentic AI.
Right.
That's what they call agentic AI. I have a white paper on this a year and a half ago. So the reason I get paid the bucks or the big bucks is my board tells me this. You have to have the ability to see around corners.
Yes.
And if you can see around corners, you don't have to know that there's a guy who's going to mug you. You just have to know there's danger.
Right.
So you'll avoid it, right? You don't have to know what weapon he's going to use. I know it's a bad example.
Well, this is what helps you become a visionary.
That's overstated. It's really just
no.
thoughts.
I don't know about that. It's a culmination of experiences, and you're saying it. It's like you saw glimpses in certain things in your life, and you could start to formulate. You could start to formulate it, right?
Yeah,
and you're
exactly.
and then you start thinking about the future and how things operate, and you could almost kind of see it, right? It's like, of course, this is going to happen. This is what happens next, and I think this is why we call visionaries because you become conditioned to think about, well, how does this evolve? How does this evolve, and how does it impact people? Then you start reading and educating, and you see how other people are thinking about the creation of their products, because you got to be ahead of the curve.
Yeah, and my view of innovation is the recombining of many abstractions from many industries into your idea. It's not like you have to be totally original.
No.
In fact, nobody's original. If you look at an autonomous car, even Elon Musk, he knew there were things like cameras. He knew there was vision. He knew there was AI.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been trying to combine that forever. I hope one day he gets done with FSD. But, the point is, I think guys like Mercedes and BMW are quite far ahead, and Waymo is very far ahead. But someday, all of this will come together. And it's recombining many ideas, LiDAR, vision, and it's bringing it into a form factor that works to solve a business problem. Mm-hmm. And that's all innovation is. So I feel like our job, and I feel today with the technology shifting like it is, who knows? In the future, maybe nobody ever makes an appointment on a website. They just talk to a phone.
Yeah.
Right? Our AI voice bot is out with a pre-diagnostic, and I was looking at it at this local Mercedes store. We made like 400 appointments with an 82% show rate.
Wow.
And some of those appointments, the bot is asking the customer 25 questions about their car. And the guy's sticking on for 25 questions.
That's astounding.
Yeah. 25. And I kid you not, I can find that freaking recording and send it to you. 25. I counted. I was so in disbelief because he kept asking, okay, so tell me, does it screech? Do the brakes screech or do they squeal? He says screech. Does it happen when you're reversing or when you're traveling? I said, come on, stop. At some point, stop. This guy's going to jump off. He did. At the end, he says,
that's so interesting.
Appointment has been made. And, you get the text message, blah, blah, blah.
I'm sitting in a not to cut you off, but I'm sitting in a service lounge yesterday at a Honda store, and I'm talking to customers about how they feel about the AI products they're using. And I'm watching them use it, the voice AI. I'm watching them use it. And I go to the customers and I ask them, what were your thoughts on this? And one of the AIs was explaining something that was pretty intense, was pretty thorough. It was about 4 things that needed to be done on the customer's car. And I was like, the guy laughing, and I'm just so curious. I can't wait to hear what he has to say. And he stays on for this whole call, and the explanations are so intense. And I said to him, you were laughing. Why were you laughing? And he said, because this is the future. Those kind of explanations we don't get on a typical basis. And it just hit me that I wanted to hear that. It was not too much. And actually it was that moment, to your point, that it is actually very striking how we crave information. We want to be heard. And when a customer is being asked questions about their car, and in a way that they know we're trying to solve it for them, we want to get down to the root of it. Why wouldn't you appreciate the business that was actually injecting that into the experience? I think that's customer service on steroids.
Yeah, and I tell dealers who ask me about this, says, "What's your average?" I said, "My average is 8 questions." So they answer 8 questions. I said, "Listen, you got
nobody goes that in deep."
Yeah, but I had, I got about a shingles. Okay, shingles hurts like hell. So I initially thought it was because I tend to try and work out a lot, so I was swimming. So I thought maybe my flip turns, I bruised my ribs. But it wasn't that. So the guy asked me one question, another question, another question. I answered all his questions. You know why? Because it was my body. It was me. And I'm interested in the outcome. It's like a doctor, and you don't give a damn about the accent.
A rat's ass? Were you going to say that?
I was going to say that as I was on camera. Maybe I should. I've got a more so diplomatic. A rat's rear end. Okay.
Okay.
but really, do you care that the guy's Filipino? No. Do you care that he has an accent? No. Why? Because he's trying to help solve your problem.
That's right.
So that's when
I'm into it.
There are lots of people who want the AI to sound like a human. I said, no, I don't want it to sound like I want to say I'm an AI voice assistant.
That's what you should never try to impersonate a human.
Yeah. So what if I'm a little scratchy? As long as I ask you the right questions.
That's right.
And the generative AI is so accurate. So we had actually, speaking of Toyota, we had a Toyota exec here who thought that he could outsmart our AI.
Okay. Seems fun.
2016 Tacoma, and where he's getting a scan code, and the rate limiter is bouncing from 3,000 to 4,000. It asked him all the right questions. Do you lose power? Does the check engine light flash? Is it consistent? Do you seem to lose power on a straight drive? And which gear? It even knew that it was a stick shift. So, and the guy, and he's talking about oil packs.
It's impressive.
Yeah, and at the end of it, he says, Ujj, I got to tell you, these are the exact questions I would ask, and I'm an ex-technician.
That's nice. That's validation.
The point is, see, unlike humans, this thing can learn at the speed of light.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard to trick these generative AI engines. And does it need fine-tuning? Of course it needs it every day. But I'm telling you, this is a revolution that has started. And it's the old adage, when change happens, it happens too slowly, but when it starts, it does it so rapidly. So now, you're saying 10 years, I'm saying in 5 years, the landscape change.
Oh, yeah, big time. 5 years. I think in the next year, you're going to start to see a big rumble. I definitely would say 3 years. Significant advancements. It's happening, and it's exciting to hear your passion and your excitement. And it's also really interesting to hear your perspective as a leader in automotive. And you guys, you've really been a trailblazer in developing software that does do some really cool stuff and helps the dealers solve some of the biggest problems. Listen, you guys have been on my radar for a long time. I just love the people in your company. I really do. And in fact, I'd even say, one in particular has been a great advisor and mentor to me, even in my own journeys, because people in your company care.
I know who it is. So I would say these are special people, all of them.
They are. You're
And
special.
no, but listen, I was arguing with him at lunchtime today.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
this is a gentleman that knows you really well. I know he's been
Uh-huh.
a mentor to you. But part of it is we love that because when we do those arguments, we come out with a better result. It's the wisdom
Exactly.
of is the wisdom of crowds. If you start drinking your own Kool-Aid and you start believing titles and blah blah blah, you're done for.
Yeah.
There's two guys in a garage with a computer who are trying to put you out of business. So
That's a
you gotta
fact.
believe that. And if you don't innovate, you die. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Eh,
It is really the mantra that most business people should just adopt.
Well, you are certainly showing why it matters to lead, adopt, and execute, more importantly. And that is why you guys have listen, you guys have done some really great things. I just love seeing what you guys are doing. And I love that you guys are injecting AI into everything that you're moving forward with. You're making progress out there, and you're creating experiences that customers enjoy. And at the end of the day, that's what we're all fighting for, is loyalty. We want to keep our businesses alive, and we need the products out there, the technology out there. We need innovators like you, visionaries like you, to continue to raise the bar, and continue to identify the problems and continue to help dealers stay relevant. That's what's happening
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah. Thank you for everything that you do for the business. I just love, I love your leadership, and I mostly love all of the people in your company and the product that they've built, literally out of love.
Yes, yes, and I agree. I love my people too. I love the dealers. I think they're
Mm,
all special breed. Everybody's different, but they're all the same. They all want to do the right thing, and
right.
they need help getting through these technology hurdles to become more efficient. But
Yes.
thank you so much, Jen. I really appreciate the time you spent on this. I like they say at the end of a yoga session, namaste.
Namaste.
Yes. Thank
All
you.
right. Well,
Uh,
thank you.
yeah.
Thank you for being. Thanks everyone for listening to Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki. Don't forget, my weekly live classes are designed to keep your team fired up, skilled up, and focused on results. Subscribe right now at edealersolutions.com.